Welcome back. You're with us here on the Newsfeed Late Night, and we continue with your reporting. The Justice Project South Africa has issued a warning to motorists about capture errors causing motorists to be incorrectly charged with infringements and criminal offences they didn't commit. For more on this, I'm joined by Howard Dambowski, who is the chairperson of Justice Project South Africa. Howard, good evening, and thank you very much for your time tonight. How far are we from the whole system to be in place? I know the Minister has been outlining a number of things that would certainly help curb wrongdoing on our roads, and the demerit and merit system is one of those. How far off are we from its implementation?
Well, Thabo, the intended date of national implementation for the Auto Amendment Act is the 1st of July of this year. So it's literally around the corner. We have just a few months to go, and if what has been said is true, then the points demerit system will apply and people will start incurring demerit points on their driving licenses.
Yeah. So the National Road Traffic Amendment Act will effectively, you're saying, be introduced in June. It's not just one aspect to it. I mean, one of the aspects to it is the new rules. The concentration of alcohol in the blood must be 0.0 grams per 100 milliliters. But the other aspect of it is the merit and the demerit system. And you're saying there are some already red flags as far as that system is concerned. Do raise them with us.
Yeah, look, I just want to draw this distinction there very quickly. The National Road Traffic Act Amendment Bill doesn't affect the rollout of the ARTA Act. The ARTA Act contemplates all of the offences and infringements that are contemplated in it in terms of the National Road Traffic Act. So whether we have the amendment bill being passed by Parliament and implemented in the country or not is irrelevant. However, yes, at this juncture, we are told that the ARTA Amendment Act with its points demerit system will come into play on the 1st of July of 2021. And that carries with it demerit points. And we've noticed a sharp rise in the number of capture errors that are taking place in respect of camera-based road traffic infringements and offences, and the latest of which was not actually a capture error per se, but it was a speed camera that had been placed at the incorrect location. The location it was supposed to be at was a road in Sandton with an 80-kilometer-an-hour speed limit. And in fact, it was placed on a 4-lane freeway a couple of kilometers away. The net result was that a person was notified that he is to be summoned to court on a criminal offense for driving at 134 kilometers an hour on a freeway. And that is not an offense, that is an infringement, and it carries with it the lowest possible fine that you could possibly imagine. So these kind of so-called errors are worrisome in as much as we've noticed that a lot of people have been getting fines where the number plates, or let's say the lettering on the number plates, is confused by data capturers because they're in such a rush to capture these things. And instead of, for example, if your number plate starts with a V and it is read from a number plate that a Y is actually a V, you get the fine for somebody else's ill behavior on the roads.
What is driving these errors? I mean, firstly, let's talk about how the infringements are captured. Is it automated? Is it a human being having input into the system? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a human being looking at photographs and punching the number plate in, and then apparently not being able to tell the difference between a red Mini Cooper and a white 18-wheeler truck.
Yeah, and that would mean, I mean, what recourse do you have as a motorist if indeed you discover that it was not your car, it could have been your number plate because by error, whoever was capturing the data put in a V instead of a Y?
Well, In terms of the ARTA Act, you're compelled to use prescribed forms. So you'd have to use an ARTA 08 representation form to make a written representation to the agency, stating that it was not your vehicle in the photograph. And they would then have to consider that and do the appropriate, which would be to cancel it, obviously. The problem being that they do not always look at these things in time. And if you don't become aware of that infringement notice existing against you, you're in a bit of trouble, because the auto scheme itself is pretty much an automated one. If you fail to act, it doesn't stop. It carries on its own merry way, ending up with something called an enforcement order being issued against your particulars, which, when the points demerit system is in play, will have the effect of applying the demerit points to your driving license. But it will also block the renewal of your driving license card, your professional driving permit, and your vehicle license disc. So it's very, very reliant on you becoming aware of the fact that you stand accused, or should I say, you're very reliant on becoming aware of the fact. And that has been a dismal failure over the last 12 and a half years.
Yeah. So these are new fines completely. How are they? I mean, how does it work if you are over the speed limit? Do you get, obviously, the traffic fine itself and how much you need to pay? Does it also indicate how many merits or demerits you're getting?
Yeah, it should. And, it does in a lot of instances. But there's a problem with that. And that problem is that in terms of the new draft regulations to the ARTA Amendment Act, the authorities have up to 60 days to serve that infringement notice on you. So if you are driving along a particular road where a lot of people engage in robotic driving, because the speed limit was always 80 kilometers an hour, I'm going to drive at 80 kilometers an hour, and suddenly the speed limit changes to 60. If you were to take that type of scenario, then by the time a person becomes aware of the first infringement notice after 60 days, and that would equate to around about 40 days of driving on that road, they would have incurred sufficient demerit points to suspend their driving license for 16 and a quarter years.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're at a point where the minister is saying, I recognize that there are opponents to this system, but the system has already been signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa. We will implement it, and that's it. We just have to accept that.
Yeah, it's a system of guilty until proven innocent. The president has indeed signed it into law, and you're embroiled in these administrative processes. You do not have the right to be presumed innocent, and if you do not act, then the system will act against you.
Howard Dambowski, I appreciate your time and thank you very much for joining us today. That's Howard Dambowski, chairperson of the Justice Project South Africa. They're issuing a warning around these issues of capture errors, which means you have to be wide awake and constantly checking and ensuring that you are not otherwise implicated in an infringement that you would not have been a part of.